Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the NJ1ST podcast. My name is Ryan McDonald. I have another guest joining me today. I've made a friendship with him, acquaintance over the couple of months. He has a great story for us that happened just this 2023. It's regarding extreme risk protection orders. Many people know this as red flag gun laws. A lot of Republicans in New Jersey support it, voted for it. A lot of Republicans and conservatives don't support it and stand up against it in New Jersey. So we have a battle. We have a Generation Z in Brendon and myself, a millennial. So this is going to be a conversation that a lot of New Jerseyans maybe aren't used to. So it's going to be a great video. Please sit down, relax, like it, share, and thank you, Brendon Cannestro, for joining us, and introduce yourself a little.
Yeah, so I'm Brendon Cannestro. I'm from New Egypt, New Jersey, Ocean County. I was born in New Jersey, Freehold, been around Central Jersey most of my life. I lived up north with my mom and dad for a little bit. I used to go to the Plumstead Township School District, and I'm no longer a student there because we'll get into that later. But yeah, I have some stories about red flag laws and a bunch of other stuff that I went through this past year, as well as me and my family. I'm looking forward to the questions, Ryan.
Good, great. And it's awesome. You're young. I'm 30 myself. You are just turned 18, a young adult as yourself, and are educated already in the Second Amendment. It's odd that I'm saying that other 18-year-olds aren't, but you yourself are in the firearms itself and in the philosophy. So just for viewers, the extreme risk protection orders, the red flag gun laws, it is without a warrant. They're just allowing people to go and confiscate guns. It's against the Second Amendment. It's against the Fifth Amendment due process clause. It's against the Constitution in general.
Yeah, the Fourth
Right.
Amendment is another big one. It's one of my favorites. Unlawful searches and seizures. So
And
that's another big one.
unfortunately, Brendon and his grandfather were victims of the extreme risk protection order. And a lot of people don't want this story to get out, but free speech platform here on the NJ1ST podcast. So we're going to talk about it. So it is started for you, Brendon. If you want to talk about anything other than the chronological order that I'm going in, feel free to do that. But it started in February of 2023 at school, right?
Yeah, so it could even go before that because I was getting
Sure.
these prank phone calls and kids, stupid kids being kids at my old school, stuff like that. And the school wasn't doing anything about it. We knew who it was, and kind of got to me a bit. And so I had a mental breakdown in February, not like a mental breakdown, but I told the school I had just seen this story about Adriana Kutch, this young girl in Central Regional, I believe it was. She had killed herself for being beat up and being filmed and all that stuff. And I told the current principal at the time, I forget his name, but I know the principal now. I don't know if I should name her, but she's a real pain in the ass. I'm just gonna say that. But I told her, like, this is the reason why kids kill themselves, like being put on the spotlight, being bullied, and administration does nothing about it. That seems to be a common theme in public schools. And
Right. And yeah, go ahead.
I got kicked out of school, believe it or not, for about a month and a half for saying that. They made me get like a mental health evaluation. I came up fine. I'm not crazy or anything, and I had to get an educational attorney because the school would actually denied saying that the therapist was wrong or whatever. Like they wouldn't accept the therapist. So I had to go through another therapist, my own, to get cleared, and then the school's therapist on top of that. So three different psychiatrists basically said I'm fine, and all that other stuff. And I had to get an educational attorney for that. We started litigating with the school back and forth, and that fell apart around May.
So it sounds like before even any of this firearms, Second Amendment guns, extreme risk protection, red flag gun laws, any of this, it was with schools in regards to what they are doing a good job and bringing attention to mental health. But
Yeah,
we'll find out later in the story how maybe that's a catch-22, as the older heads like to call it.
yeah, fuds, boomers, whatever you want to call it. Yeah,
But
yeah.
it makes sense. It's about a book. I don't know if you're aware of that, but
No, I'm too young, probably.
yeah, so it makes sense. But so they were worried about mental health, and there was a bunch of litigation, a lot of court battle back and forth, and that's where it all started from. Then they sent police to your house because why?
The really no reason. They just said like, "Oh, we know that you have guns in the house," and they didn't like the fact that I did competition shooting with my grandfather. I was avid about the Second Amendment, and I wanted to bring this up because I think I didn't even tell you. I had a back and forth with the administration because I would wear Second Amendment T-shirts, and they would make me turn it inside out. like it's some sort of
Okay.
like not Nazi foreign country. You can't have that. But you could have kids walking around with like BLM stuff, like weed stuff. That's fine, or like very sexually explicit things. But you could, whatever you do, you can't have. They made me actually. I still have the video, I believe. They made me take off a Black Rifle coffee sweatshirt because it's had the word rifle in it. They were
Hmm.
going like that bit extreme to like prevent. It's ridiculous.
So the beginning of this year, 2023, since you had a reputation as well as a love for the sport of firearms and the education of Second Amendment firearms and all that American patriotism, right?
Yeah,
They turned that around. They turned that into something that's negative. It seems like.
yeah, yeah. Well, my grandfather was also in the military. That was something they actively used in court as well, trying to say like his service, this, that, and other things. So if you were in the military, they would try to use that against you too. They
Hmm.
tried to paint me as like a right wing nationalist, which was kind of funny, and I had
Hmm.
no idea what the hell they were talking about most of the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so how it got to the red flag, I believe it was the police who the school asked the police to put in for it because they were just sick and tired of me or whatever. And they had also a rumor that was going around with no basis, no witnesses, no saying that I was gonna shoot up prom or something, which never happened,
Geesh.
first of all. And there was no witnesses to that, nothing of the sort. And they came in at around, I'd say 9 o'clock on June 7th. The whole nine SWAT, well, not SWAT guy, like the body armor, everything. And they confiscated legally owned firearms that my grandfather had owned. And they were just like, yeah, we're taking these, and they would use the word safekeeping, like you're gonna be fine, don't worry about it, like it's no big deal. And I knew at that time I had to get an attorney for that, and so luckily my education attorney knew these other two who were actually very good, and they helped us through the process. And my grandfather will be getting his firearms back uh, around June, hopefully sooner. Um, but I was had no choice. They basically said, "You're being charged with this, and that, with no real evidence." Like it was like there was just like the thought of this happening, which is kind of scary if you think about it.
Right. And the video that I have covertly recorded shows how they do propose these hypotheticals, what could happen. So this is why we have to
Yeah,
act now. And I'll probably show that right now so viewers can see what I'm talking about.
Now, when they go in and execute the search warrant, that search warrant is going to contain language that says they are to seize all firearms and ammunition within the possession, custody, and control of respondent. That includes weapons belonging to someone else if that respondent has access to them. This has been a hot button topic. It's come up a lot in our law enforcement trainings where officers say, wait, I'm sorry, say that one more time, because if I go out into a scene where we have an ERPO or a TERPO respondent being a teenager who's not legally allowed to buy firearms, and I have this search warrant that says seize all the firearms in the house that this kid has access to. You want me to go and take mom and dad's guns when they didn't do anything wrong? Yes, because that's what the order says. And here's why. You wouldn't get this search warrant unless there is something linking that respondent to having access to those firearms. So we've heard examples in the DV context that we're drawing for comparison in the ERPO context, where the registered owner of the weapon is mom in the house. Dad is the person not allowed to have firearms, except they're seeing Facebook posts with dad using the firearms. There's people talking about dad using the firearms. They do the search warrant. Dad's running up and down saying, oh, I don't have access to firearms, that's my wife's. She keeps them in the safe. I don't go in that safe. Wife opens the safe. Dad's pills are in the safe. They seize the weapons. Dad tries to get them back. That has to be sorted out by a judge. So in these hostile situations and these tense times, when law enforcement is going out and responding to a scene, trying to secure the scene, trying to make sure they're safe, the people there are safe.
So it seems like there was two cases. It was first the school, and you kind of were in litigation with that, and then the school initiated the red flag gun law. They were worried. They were worried in a sense. You said that they
yeah,
thought that there was some threats, so they sent someone to your house
yeah,
without a warrant and
yeah.
confiscated guns.
Yeah, Yeah, and it says on the paperwork for the red flag that this could be used as a warrant in some situations, like domestic violence, this, that, and another thing. But the way it works is, and I wanted to bring this up, the police, if you think they can't see what you own or whatever, it's a load of horse shit. They know what you got. Like there's a registry. The cop called it like a master list. You could see all the firearms my grandfather owned, the serial numbers, everything. And and it's kind of weird. They knew exactly where to go too. Like they knew where the safe was. Like it was crazy. Like it was
Interesting.
scary. It was scary. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
almost like they've been there before. Which I'm not saying like a psyop, but it's creepy. Yeah.
Hmm. So
Uh,
so it was June. Okay, so just for viewers again, this is February when it happened at the school, and then they sent the police with the red flag gun law to your house in June,
Yeah, but
right?
things were consistently going downhill even before that June, like that middle gap there, because I had to be. They wouldn't do anything about the kids who were doing this. They would rather have me walked around with security, which made me look like an ass, and just make it really uncomfortable for me in a lot of ways. And I had to get an amended IEP and all this other stuff that took them forever to do. So it was a lot of going back in between that time frame, and I think they just got sick and tired of dealing with me. And the chief of police, Earl Maroney, is on the school board. So make of that what you will, people. Yeah,
Right, right. And just more for maybe the logic of like that's probably how they went about going through the extreme risk protection order is that they have the police chief in time. He's with the school. He knows what's going on. He's talking with the
yeah,
people. They did that.
yeah,
So, okay. I know you tried to stand up for your rights. You know they were being violated as a young 17-year-old at the time this was happening. You knew
yeah.
your constitutional rights were being violated. Tell me, what was the experience of police entering your home? You have a veteran grandfather that you know he's not going to disrespect the police force. You guys loved the police
Yeah,
force. Your
yeah,
community member,
yeah.
active in the community. You can't do anything. So tell me what that was like.
So I actually did National Night Out for them I believe it was 2 years in a row. I helped out with that. Donated a lot of money to their PBA fund as well. We just got the nerve they have sending me a letter in the mail asking for money after this is actually kind of funny. They had the PBA donation. Did a lot of stuff for them. My good friend in Plumstead at one point was a cop, but when I noticed the past couple of years that it really started to go downhill once the Black Lives Matter and like all the police reform stuff, and like a lot of officers left this area and went to
Hmm.
bigger departments because the pay is very shit. So, it's
Right,
there's
right,
only like
right.
14, 15 people working there left. Before there used to be almost 30, but dropped down quite a bit from my understanding.
Okay.
But it was a
Yeah.
scary interaction. I mean, because I've seen stories out of Maryland. There was a man who didn't know who was at his door, and the police, they thought he had a gun or something, and they just shot him. So things and interactions like that could turn deadly without you even doing anything. You reach the wrong way, you talk the wrong. I never seen talk the wrong way, but you never know nowadays. So yeah, it
It
could
wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't too long ago. I remember it was maybe a Las Vegas hotel or something, and the guy was responding to all the commands, and he was on the ground, and he still ended up getting shot. It's just
yeah.
a very tense moment, obviously. But so if you want to explain, did they come in? They tell you
Yeah,
you got some video footage, I think.
yeah, I have a lot, and yeah, I sent you some, and we could put that in later. But it was a surreal experience because, like, supposed to be a really conservative area, like
Hmm.
like Trump area, like everything like that. Everybody's
That's
got Trump
right.
signs. Yeah, Ocean County, and you have Chris Smith. He's a rhino. I'll tell you that much. It's not good. He supported a lot of gun control. The more I looked into it,
Yep, yep. You
and
can look up the votes.
so did a lot of other so-called Republic, if you even want to call the state party Republican here. I mean, they give in on everything. They got no balls, you know.
So was there any conservative support, any grassroots, any? You said you were part of a gun club.
Yeah, Central Jersey Rifle Pistol Club. They're the NJRPC. I recommend people to join NJRPC, but looking for them for legal support, I mean, it doesn't work like 50%, more than half the time. I mean, it it's a case, they're either interested in your case or not interested in, or they said you wait too long to get certain stuff done. But in the end, I basically proved everybody wrong because they thought I was going to go to jail, this, that, the other thing, but I'm still here.
Right.
So,
So this is all this year. It happened this year, 2023, this whole entire thing. So
yeah.
people were admittedly probably scared to help you join on the case, didn't know what was going to go on. You found the team that suited you best and you fought this. So it
Oh,
seemed
yeah.
like you had a whole entire summer to wait to go through the courts.
Yeah.
What happened through summer? You
I
had
was
an
put
ankle
on.
monitor, I heard, huh?
Yeah, so before the day after the cops came, I was put in the Rutgers UBHC in Piscataway against my will. Basically, it was like either you go there or you go to juvenile detention until this whole thing's over. And then I got out of there and they put an ankle monitor on me for the whole summer, basically, until the end of August almost.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then, so what? Anything else happened over the summer, or you just had to wait until fall, like August? You said.
I had to wait school in the beginning. I believe they expelled me, and then I think they made, or it was a suspension, one of the two, and then it was like full all the way through. But there was time in between there where I didn't even know what was going on, and I got off house arrest. I went to the school football game, just interact, see how everything's going. I like the food there. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of fat. There's this chef who used to own a restaurant. I believe it shut down, and he had the stand there, and I liked the food. Talking to him, his restaurant was very good. And the cops came for that too. They were like, "You're trespass." I was like, "Trespass?" I was like, "I went to school here." I was like, "It's public property." Nope, they didn't care. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and nobody in the community really knew what was up because, or some people did, like my neighbors and close family, but wasn't allowed to talk about it for the longest time because court inhibits a lot of that. Yeah,
Wow.
heavily. Yeah.
And that's probably about the time where you contacted me and we met. You were able to enroll in a different school, right?
Yeah,
So
I'm now at a way different school. It's a private
cool.
school. It's way better. I go there. I wish I could have gone there years ago, honestly. Yeah.
And you messaged me anticipating that this would all come to a resolution. It would maybe be dismissed. Where are you sitting at now with your case and
The
your
first
grandfather's case?
My grandfather, he's on PTI. It will be done relatively soon. So once he completes that term of probation, whatever it is, I don't know, because juvenile's a lot different than adult. But yeah, when he's done with that, the judge, I think, ordered. I don't know for sure. He did order when it's all done, you get the guns back, everything like that. Mine is deferred disposition. So mine is it depends. Like sometimes with certain cases, you get probation, you got an officer, all that. Mine is very laxed. Everything was dismissed except for one charge, and they're kind of hanging like a fruit over that, saying, you don't get any trouble. Otherwise, we're going to bring this one charge back up. And I don't intend on getting any trouble. I don't think this was my fault in the first place.
So it seems like that they charged you guys with charges that would amount to years in jail, and in the end, it was a slap on the wrist and nothing burger.
Yeah,
Wasted taxpayer dollars, maybe even.
lots of wasted money. Yeah, lots. Even my grandparents, and yeah, it's a lot of. Because in the end, you're like preparing for the worst possible outcome, but everybody's like the lawyers every telling you're not going to get jail, but you never know. So,
Mhm.
because after being in that loony bin or whatever you want to call it for a month, it was like you don't know where you're going to go next, and finally you're out, and it's like okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
things may go down, and then you put on house. So my grandfather's was a lot different. They had his done in like 3 months. Mine took a while, up
Because it was
until
with
a
the
couple
school.
days.
Because it was
Yeah,
with the school.
yeah, that interfered with a lot of it, but also just juvenile in general is a lot
Ah,
slower. Yeah,
that's what it is too. You just mentioned that before. Well,
yeah.
that is a heck of a story. And again, it happened all in 2023. You said that you went through 8 prosecutors. Nobody wanted to touch this thing, huh?
Something like that. It was quite a bit from my understanding. It was a decent amount because there was the lady. I don't know what her name was, and it was another guy and another guy. It was weird. Like I'd never seen anything like that. Yeah.
So I'll mention this. is because you have applauded and gave him praise to the judicial system, the legal system, and how fast it actually operated. You know, they took you into consideration when making their decisions and stuff like that. It seems like they did their job, but you know, I can't help but think the conservatives or South Jersey Republicans, anybody who supports the Second Amendment or anything, they probably should have took the opportunity of your case, put it on a national highlight. You know, veteran gets his Second Amendment violated. They throw a child out of school, something like that, and nobody wanted to do that. That's very upsetting. But I do know that
nobody wanted to touch it. I know it's
you
funny.
you wanted to come out because you didn't want it to get put under the rug, right?
Yeah, and not only that, I don't want it to happen to other people. I mean, because
That's
a lot of people are less fortunate than some others. So, you know, it's like I agree with you with the Republican thing, because I called my local assemblyman and I talked to the secretary, whatever, it's Sawicki around here. Never heard back. Total jerk off, in my opinion. Never heard anything back. I mean, nothing at all. I mean, it's hilarious, and it's kind of a joke, honestly, what the state party is here, because they just do a little bit opposite of what Murphy does, but still kind of support it. I mean, yeah.
It's just to get reelected, definitely. But how I started off this video, it's a Generation Z as yourself and a millennial as myself. I as well. I contact the elected officials. I reach out to them, and they stonewall you or give you a one-word answer. Like we're given advice from older people to get involved, reach out if you need help, and we try. And that's the response we get.
Nobody wants, unless you're really rich or you got a lot of connections, they don't care. Yeah.
So what would you like viewers to know about your experience? I know you touched on it first, but yeah, let's go with that.
I don't know what there really is to take from it. I mean, it's just a terrible all-around thing. I mean, it's kind of like the backwards with the red flag. You're guilty until proven innocent kind of thing. Like, there's no due process like beforehand. It's like, okay, we got to go. We got to do this really quick, get it over with. Like, it's stupid. And the police chief, I have no respect for him anymore. Total fucking idiot, honestly, now in my eyes. Like, half of that department, like, gone out the fucking window. I don't care for him anymore, and I can say that now because, you know, I'm allowed. Like, what are they gonna do now? I mean, it's like you went through this whole process, and it's really concerning in the end, because like it's kind of where the state and this country is heading in the long run, if you think about it.
Right, because a lot of people always will. Older people as well will say, "I can't believe this is happening." Oh my! And then in reality, there's younger gentlemen like you yourself and myself saying, of course it's happened. It happened to this person right here. It's happened to people every single day.
It's it happens to a lot more, but the red flag laws are kind of rare. I believe I was only the second person in Plumstead's ever been done to.
Plumstead, though.
Yeah, New Egypt, whatever it's since
but there's a lot. There's been a lot.
The whole state, but county-wide in Ocean County, I can't begin to imagine. But Plumstead itself, I mean, is a small town. I don't know how many people are, probably a couple thousand. But out of that, it's like 2 people in like 5 years since this has been in effect have gotten affected by it. Yeah.
Wow.
So, it's and the cop that night was like, you don't have any rights. Like, you're a juvenile, you don't have rights. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, doesn't matter what age you are, rights are there from when you're born as an American citizen. Like, it's not like they try to say Second Amendment is a privilege. They're acting like it's driving. Driving is a privilege. The Second Amendment is a right. It's not like, oh, like the permit stuff. Like, it's more nuisance in the end. Like, because if you're a criminal, think about it. You're a criminal. Are you really gonna go out and get a permit? Follow the law? I mean, no, it's to put people like me and you and people who follow the law at a disadvantage, because really they're pro-criminal. Most of these prosecutors, they're very, as the boomers would say, woke or whatever, but it's the way it seems. I mean, it's pretty messed ass backwards, I call it, the way the justice system is here now. Yeah.
Well, again, thank you for sharing your story. And this is Brendon Cannestro. And where can people follow you? So maybe they want to reach out, because I think you want to get the story out to as many people that want to hear it, right?
Yeah, I mean, anybody wants to talk about it or whatever. My Instagram is Brendon_578. My Facebook is just my name, Brendon Cannestro. I don't really use Snapchat that much, just for family or whatever. But Instagram, Facebook is mainly where I'm at. Maybe Twitter soon with you. I don't know. I have a Twitter account. I don't really use it though. So, or X as they call it now. So
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate you joining the NJ First podcast, coming on, having a free speech discussion,
yeah,
and for viewers to get more involved, especially online here, coming to talk
yeah.
with me or
And,
with Brendon. Yeah.
and what you really need at the end, and I want to put this message out there for anybody who lives in new leadership, you need to put out accountability. I mean, like, people shouldn't be able to do it, like, go off of lies. Okay, like, this whole thing was just lies, a prosecution of lies. People like that, like my internal affairs complaint that I had, was never anything done about it. It's like the police chief, I'd say, needs to be held accountable for his actions, because he had a lot of involvement in that. The school board officials there, and the prosecution, the court, I don't really blame. In the beginning, the prosecutor's office wouldn't even take up the case. It wasn't until they had say they had enough evidence to do it. So the court was great. The judges were amazing. Lawyers were great. I don't have any complaints on that. It's mainly the police and the school. They go fuck themselves. Honestly, I don't care. Yeah, yeah.
Great. All right. Thank you for joining. All right. Anything else?
Yeah. Nope. Thank you so much for having me. It means a lot to get this out there. The struggle me and my family went through was pretty crazy, honestly. I mean, it's like backwards now. I know. I hope this never happens to anybody else, but knowing the way we're heading, it probably will happen to a lot more people, and a lot sooner than people think.
And if anybody has any questions, I know this was a very complicated case, but you might have questions. Ask them in the chat, the comments. I'll have Brendon back on, and we'll talk about them. All right,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so
All right,
much,
great.
everybody.
Thanks for joining, guys.